talking about the indies, and you were definitely an indie darling. You definitely had the high-profile indie matches. How did you get to ECW? Who contacted you? What was that process like going from the indies to ECW?
I was brought into WCW first to do the cruiserweight stuff. That came before ECW. I had a match on Worldwide with Bunkhouse Buck, Chris Kanyon. I wrestled Conan on Nitro in a dark match one week, and then we went live with that match the following week. Following that, they brought me down to WCW Saturday Night to wrestle Eddie Guerrero once, and it was nightly work, and it was kind of here and there, and it was spotty. And in that time, I was still full-time in school, full-time going to physical therapy school, college, what have you. And I forget the guy's name that called me, but he was hooked up with Paulie. I want to say John Clark, maybe. Do you remember that name?
I don't
know. Anyway, I forget the guy's name. And he said, Paulie needs you for Philadelphia. We want you to come down tonight. He's going to call you later. So I saw this as a big opportunity. One, because it was ECW. The promotion was on fire. It was growing. And you know, from us tagging and working together, I love that style. I love combining technical wrestling with high flying with weapons, not where you start off wrestling in a match breakdown and it becomes like a hardcore type match, for lack of a better word. So Paulie calls me and he says, I want you to come down tonight to work with Taz in the arena. The only catch here, the following Monday, the previous Monday. So Monday before this call, I had gotten arthroscopic knee surgery to fix a torn meniscus in my knee. So I had a knee about this big. Being involved in physical therapy and in healthcare, I know that the problem is fixed, but there's an exorbitant amount of swelling in that knee capsule from the surgery and from the trauma of them going in there and yada, yada, yada. But I'm not going to miss this opportunity. So he calls me, he goes, I need you to get down here ASAP. So I start calling doctors I know. I start calling. Finally, I find one that will drain my knee so that my knee went down and it's not all puffy. That took some time, and it caused me to get to the arena late. I drove down with Ricky O. We got down there, and I can tell I had a little bit of heat of getting there late, but I had to get my knee drained. And I also didn't want to share that I just got my knee drained. I didn't want them to think that, damaged goods coming in. So I went down there, had a match with Taz, gave me some good stuff, hooked me in a belly-to-belly over the top rope, and went to the floor, and that was how that started. That was the first night there. It just came from a phone call.
What were your initial impressions of Paul Heyman?
He was definitely, we're talking about at that time, I'm probably, 21, 22 maybe. Definitely charismatic person. Definitely a personality, larger than life personality. And he seemed excited for me to be there. I was excited to be there. And I thought there was, the potential for big things that could happen there. He gave me the impression that big things might come from me being there.
People who don't know you, you're a very successful businessman, you're a physical therapist, you're very responsible, you're a family man, you're a father, you're a husband, you're very religious. I mean, you have a great head on your shoulders. You're walking into probably the craziest locker room experience that you're ever going to.
As always, when I go to a show, I enjoy the experience of doing a match. We have this discussion a lot. That's why I'm 48 years old and I still can't let go. I enjoy it. It's something that's fulfilling to me. And I enjoyed being out there. I enjoyed being in front of that electric crowd. It was crazy. But to say that Chris Ford didn't fit the ECW locker room culture would be an understatement. Week after week, I would get there. I would leave Friday class. I would go to wherever we were on the East Coast. I'd have my school books studying in the back. Got heat for that for sure. These days we talk about the guys bring their video games on the road. I was probably the first guy to bring their video games on the road. I would bring my Sega Genesis, my Nintendo, and I'm not going to name names, but there was one occasion where the boys were all going out to tear it up. And I said, nah, I got to study and I'm going to play some games. And I had my console kicked across the locker room. It didn't break, thank God, but it was kicked.
Name a name. Come on, name a name.
Nah, I'm not naming names. But I say this, it was definitely, I got there, I got the rah-rah Paulie speech, and I expected big things.
You come in with all this buzz, you're Dangerous Devastorm, you're having these great matches everywhere, and they team you up with Damien
Kane.
I was going to say Damian Adams. Damien Kane.
Yeah.
How did that come about? I mean, a major odd couple.
Yeah. He was actually a great guy. I got along great with him. Super nice guy. The Bad Crew were there. You know those guys from the Indies. They were with Damien Kane. I think, don't quote me, I think he had something to do with having a Pennsylvania license or something, yada, yada, yada. And I think we were just kind of thrown together as an undercard team that really didn't mean much. We were just there to get other guys over, and, you know, that's all. And that was fine. You know, that's every roster needs that spot. And that was just a spot we were in at that time.
How did the ECW run end?
I could tell that it was just getting worse and worse. You know, no one was talking to me really that much. I really didn't fit in the entire time. It had to be close to a year that I was there. And I could just tell that there was going to be no advancement. People suggested to me, maybe try going to the House of Hardcore. You'll get some respect. I was full-time in school. I didn't have time to go into the House of Hardcore during the week. And honestly, seeing how I was treated in the locker room, I was suspicious that it was probably a setup to go there and have somebody try to beat me up or something. Honestly, that's what it was. You'd probably assume the same thing. But I could just tell there was no advancement there. And I had been thinking about leaving for a while. And then John Reckner comes in, our good friend Balls Mahoney. It's his first night. And he is given the gimmick Balls Mahoney, which was basically a gay biker that would do S&M type stuff. And he would essentially sexually assault his opponents in the ring. Now, I'm not crazy about this. I could tell that this is not my thing to do, but I always liked John. I knew him from the Indies. I knew him from Iron Mike Sharps. And before I left, you know, my time there was done. I knew no matter what I did, nothing. I wanted to go out at least giving John a good match and having John look really, really good. Did our match, went back, and I said thank you to Paulie. I said thank you to Todd. And I said, that's it for me.